Okay, we need to talk about this. This is very important. AI weapons are more dangerous than the atomic bomb was. As a machine learning engineer, I'm usually in favor of putting AI into stuff. But I am vehemently opposed to using AI in weapons of war. They need to be banned immediately. Let's talk about Israel's assassination algorithms that have killed 37,000 Palestinians and counting since October. And also recently, a car full of British, Polish, and Australian aid workers, which is why we can now find reliable information about their technology. If you think it sounds awful that I just said that the only reason why we have access now in a reliable way to the technology they're putting in this shit is because a bunch of white people died, that's because it is. Okay, I'm gonna tell you everything I was able to dig up about Israel's AI weaponry, but first, let's watch this official apology video.
Last night, 7 employees of the World Central Kitchen were killed. WCK is an organization whose people work across the globe, including in Israel, to do good in difficult conditions. The IDF works together closely with the World Central Kitchen and greatly appreciates the important work that they do. The IDF completed a preliminary debrief. I want to be very clear. The strike was not carried out with the intention of harming WCK aid workers. It was a mistake that followed a misidentification at night during a war in a very complex conditions. It shouldn't have happened. The initial findings were just presented to me here in the Southern Command. I also visited the new Humanitarian Command Center that we established today to improve the way we coordinate aid distribution in Gaza. We will continue taking immediate actions to ensure that more is done to protect humanitarian aid workers. This incident was a grave mistake. Israel is at a war with Hamas, not with the people of Gaza. We are sorry for the unintentional harm to the members of WCK. We share in the grief of their families as well as the entire World Central Kitchen organization from the bottom of our hearts. An independent body will investigate the incident thoroughly. We will complete it in the next coming days. We will learn from the conclusions and implement them immediately. We will share in full transparency the findings of the investigation with the World Central Kitchen and other international relevant organizations. We see great importance in the continued delivery of humanitarian aid, and we will keep working to facilitate this vital effort.
So he claims that they're not at war with civilians, but here is some footage of a hospital that was full of sick people when it was targeted by Israel's AI weapon called the Gospel, which was built to systematically destroy civilian infrastructure in Gaza. Its explicit and designed purpose was to hurt civilians and prevent everyone else, including Hamas and, civilians, from getting health care.
Israel is at a war with Hamas, not with the people of Gaza.
And here's a clip of a Palestinian woman grieving the loss of some of her family members who were inside that hospital.
وجع قلبي يما. Israel is at a war with Hamas, not with the people of Gaza.
So the Lavender algorithm, it's a separate device. It sorts through a giant database of names to try to identify a list of Palestinians that could potentially be associated with Hamas. The British news here is reporting that their sources say that this requires a full 20 seconds of oversight before authorizing a kill. 20 fucking seconds. Another algorithm called Where's Daddy will unalive the people on this list at night when they're at home sleeping with their families, with their children. And it's especially awful to see it reported here and verified elsewhere that this has an error rate of 10%. That is garbage by any machine learning engineer's standards. And to be frank, if they're willing to say publicly that it has an error rate of 10%, it's probably because it's much worse than that. There isn't really a way to verify this because we don't have a list of everybody who was targeted, nor do we have their intelligence reporting to verify that against. But most machine learning algorithms would target an error rate of 5% or less. So the fact that they're willing to state publicly that this is double what the standard error rate is astounding, especially since this is a life or death thing. They're willing to just accept that 1 out of the 10 people they kill with this weapon is an innocent person. And like I said, it's probably worse than that. So I have to say something about this block here, where they say that they're willing to trust AI because it's more reliable than pesky humans with our emotions. That is terrifying. They want to trust a statistical model over a soldier who might have lost a friend a few days ago. I'm gonna let you in on something that I wasn't sure that I ever wanted to share on this channel, but I feel like it's important in the context of this video and also to give myself a little bit of credibility on this topic. I was in the US military for 5 years. Soldiers are people, and the people that those soldiers are fighting are also people. When we were out in Iraq fighting Al-Qaeda, it sure as fuck took more than 20 seconds to get verification and authorization to authorize deadly force on something. In fact, this guy, Tyler Vargas, he was one of the Marines at Abbey Gate in Afghanistan when the US was withdrawing and that vehicle-borne IED hit. And you can find footage of him testifying before the United States Congress that the reason why he did not pull the trigger to save all of those people was because he did not have authorization yet. That's how long it takes. It does not take no fucking 20 seconds. Palestine, like Afghanistan, is a Muslim country. Muslims have a lot of men that are named Muhammad or Ahmed or Mahmoud or just variations of that. So how the fuck do you know that you got the right to Muhammad, Ahmed, Mahmoud on your fucking list? You don't know. Okay, and that is another one of the reasons why I think that 10% error rate is bullshit. Okay, so here when the IDF says that they're using information management tools, that just means that it is a database of some sort. And as far as I can tell, Lavender is just using some sort of a scripting code to search that database in a rapid manner. It could just be like a SQL database, or it could just be a fucking Microsoft Access thing. We don't know, but it's a database with a scripting algorithm that searches it. Here, the IDF is admitting that they're not actually using it to look for people that are on a watch list. They're using it to identify targets, and there's a big difference between those two things, okay? I don't believe they're doing much oversight or compliance with international laws at all here. Again, this was a hospital full of sick people. Listen, Israel is not the only country that is fucking around with AI weapons. I did a video a few weeks ago where I talked about what the United States is doing with this shit. You know, we are screwing around with it too. Any economy with trillions of dollars of GDP, is probably fucking around with using AI for weapons. Because it's kind of irresistible if you put it on the premise of, oh, well, we're saving our own lives. Instead of setting our own children out there, we're just gonna send a fucking AI. And I hope that I've communicated that that is not the way to go about this. Here's the thing. From what I read from the paper that I made the video about, I'll link it in the end screen for you to watch, but the United States' methodology was notably sophisticated. Based on what I've read about these Israeli weapons, they are notably not sophisticated whatsoever. From what I can tell, they're just using some sort of supervised machine learning algorithm, which is kind of like using machine learning for babies. To be honest, it's kind of like the most rudimentary type that you could potentially use. And so if I'm right about that, this will not be the first time that some sort of mistake was made. Regular supervised machine learning algorithms are very error prone, which is why so many organizations, corporate, government, or otherwise, tend to use neural nets now instead, because neural nets can be made a lot more accurate and less error prone than a regular machine learning algorithm can. The drawback with a neural net is that they are computationally expensive and they require more energy, but on the other hand, wouldn't that be a worthy sacrifice to make to avoid unaliving innocent children? Or, radical thought here, but we could just make AI and weapons internationally illegal. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up so that other people can watch it. Thank you.